You are listening to a series of 10 podcasts on American political parties and campaigns, presented by Citizen U. Episode 7. Discuss the different ways that presidential and congressional campaigns are funded. The mother's milk of politics is money. Democracy is not cheap. With escalating campaign costs, the role of money in politics has increasingly grown muddled at best. Traditionally, politics has been perceived of as a haven for fat cats. The perception that graft and corruption reign has always been close to the surface. The fear of a plutocracy, a government by the rich, has prompted our Congress more recently to pass campaign finance laws. These campaign finance laws were intended to assure a level playing field for all. They also emphasize the importance of transparency. Full and complete disclosure allows media watchdogs to police the relationship between our politicians and the moneyed class. These laws have been met by skepticism and suspicion. The Federal Election Campaign Act of 1971 was the first major piece of legislation that addressed money in politics. In addition to creating the Federal Elections Commission, the FEC, that regulates campaign money, this law put in place strict limits on both hard and soft money. Hard money is money given directly to a candidate's campaign. This law limited that amount to $1,000. No single person could give more than $1,000 to a candidate's campaign. Soft money is money directed to the national political party. Though unlimited, the party could only use soft money for issue advocacy and get-out-the-vote efforts. This opening salvo to campaign finance limits was challenged in the court case Buckley v. Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court seemed to find valid arguments on both sides. The court recognized that campaign money was protected under the First Amendment's free speech clause, yet recognized the need for limits so as to assuage the perception that money unfairly benefited a few in our political process. Not too surprising, this law did not reduce money in the process, nor did it reduce the perception of money's corrupting influence. The formation of political action committees, PACs, quickly became a loophole to circumvent these new apparent limits. New money began to pour into thousands of PACs. These new PACs gave their newly raised money to the candidates. In the end, money had not been limited at all. It had only been redirected. The Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act of 2002 was intended to address the apparent loopholes that provided for big money influence. Hard money limits were actually increased to $2,000 and indexed to inflation rates. Unlimited soft money was banned entirely. Often called by its nickname, McCain-Feingold hoped to improve upon the intentions of the previous legislation. The court upheld these new provisions in the case McConnell v. FEC in 2003. But again, the result was the same. An unintended consequence was that political parties grew weaker. It also spurred the growth of outside, independent expenditures. Outside independent expenditures took on the form of 527 groups. These independent groups cannot work directly with the candidates, nor can they funnel money to their respective campaigns. They can, however, collect unlimited amounts of money and use it to run ads that promote political candidates and their positions. Today, these 527 groups have grown more and more significant to the political process. The court in Citizens United v. FEC 2010, the court has essentially endorsed these independent super PACs. Money, and we are talking about a lot of money, continues to flow into our political system. In our recent presidential campaign, over $1 billion was spent. Though some might say, compared to our $6 billion spent annually on potato chips, electing a president is worth it. Other campaign finance reforms have been suggested. The most frequently mentioned reform is replacing the current system of private money with publicly financed campaigns. This means that candidates would no longer need to solicit money. The federal government would underwrite the expenses of all national campaigns. A variation of this reform involves the federal government matching privately raised money. If a candidate chooses to accept federal money for their campaign, they also agree to abide by stricter limitations on how and when that money is spent. Because most candidates can now raise more money than the federal government provides, they often choose not to accept the federal matching funds. Money has always been the mother's milk of politics. For the foreseeable future, it still is. You are listening to a series of 10 podcasts on American political parties and campaigns, presented by Citizen U.